Hello, Year 4, and today is day 12 of our home learning. It is Tuesday, the 26th of January 2021. Okay, so let's get started. Our early morning work. What you need to do, I'll go through them, and then you need to pause the video as normal, and then we'll go through the answers. So number 1, write the multiplication represented. So how many circles along? Multiply that by how many circles down? And there's your work out the answer. Number 2, what calculation do the coins represent? How many do you have? And what's the value of the coin, each coin? And then work out your answer. Number 3, Millie plants 8 sunflowers. Each has 5 leaves and 10 seeds. How many leaves and seeds are there? So, if she has 8 sunflowers, how many leaves altogether? So I would do the calculation, multiplying 8 multiplied by 5, and then do the same for 8 sunflowers and 10 seeds. So 8 times 10. And how many do you get for each? Number 4, find the missing number. 4 multiplied by what equals 40? So I would say to myself, well, how many 4s are in 40? And there's your missing number. Darcy believes if I put 6 eggs in 60 boxes, I will have 360 eggs altogether. Is Darcy correct? Explain your reasoning. And you can do that using numbers and number sentences. Okay, so pause the video now and then we'll go through the answers. Okay, welcome back. Number 1, write the multiplication represented. I've got the 7 circles along and 2 down, so 7 lots of 2. 7 times 2 is 14. Number 2, what calculation do the coins represent? There are 4 coins and each one represents 10 pence. So 4 multiplied by 10 equals 40, or 4 multiplied by 10 pence equals 40 pence. Number 3, Millie plants 8 sunflowers. Each has 5 leaves and 10 seeds. How many leaves and seeds are there? So I would do 8 multiplied by 5, so 8 fives are 40, and then 8 multiplied by 10, so 8 tens are 80. Number 4, find the missing number. 4 multiplied by something equals 40, and I would say how many 4s are in 40? And so I know 4 multiplied by 10 is 40, or 40 divided by 4 is 10. So the answer is 10. Number 5, Darcy believes if I put 6 eggs in 60 boxes, I will have 360 eggs altogether. Now I know 6 multiplied by 6 is 36. Okay, so I'm getting my 6 eggs, and instead of having 60 boxes, I've used 6. Because I know that's 10 times smaller. So that is 36. So I know that 60 is 10 times bigger. So I make my 36 10 times bigger, and that is 360. Or if that way is a little bit too tricky, I would do 60 multiplied by 6 is 360. And so she is correct. Okay, well done. Okay, so now it's time for our English work, and we have been reading our story, How to Train a Dragon. Okay, and where did we get up to? What had happened in the last chapter that we read? Can you remember? Yeah, brilliant. So they'd gone through the gorge and everywhere, and you had all of those words to look up and write in your own sentences yesterday. So let's see what we're up to today. So we're going to do a bit more research, and I'm sorry that there's a lot more research. There's a lot of research going on. And what you're going to do is you're going to research about dragons, and then you're going to write that information as notes using bullet points. Okay, so remember, you're not just copying, you're putting it in a sentence of your own. So, what might you want to research? So, what you might want to research about. So, the first one, what are dragons? When were they first seen or imagined? What country did dragons come from? Or is it more than one country? Are there different types of dragons? And dragons in stories that you may know. And that will be your introduction. Okay? So you need to stop the video now and give yourself about 30 minutes and see if you can find the answers or some information about those. Remember, you're not copying loads and loads and loads of text, you're just doing bullet points, and you might want to look at a few different websites. Okay? Now, to do that, I would maybe go into Google and then put, what are dragons? And then click on a couple and read it, and then make your notes. Okay, so pause the video now until you've done that. Okay, so your main part of your writing, okay, you could have questions. Okay, so these will be subheadings, but you need to find out the answers and use what you know as well. So then I would write, how do dragons move? So I would then put that into Google and then find some information. What do dragons eat? Again, put that into Google and use the information you know, read it, and then do a couple of bullet points for each section. You need to have enough information so that you can write a paragraph for each. So I would say at least 4 bits of information. Where do they live, or where do the dragons live? And do they hibernate? What does the word hibernate mean? Where they go to sleep over the winter months. And then what happens to the dragon egg before it hatches and after it hatches? Right? You may even want to make some of this information up, so use your fabulous imaginations. So what I want you to do now is pause the video until you have finished. And that is your English work for today. Okay? Brilliant. Okay, so we're coming to our maths. Now, I know maths has been really tricky, and that some of you are finding the fractions quite tricky. So we're going to go over today's, and then the rest of the week we're going to stop what we're doing and we're going to go over everything that we've done. We're going to do some recap lessons, but let's see if we can do today's work, because I think it should be okay. So today we're going to be learning about counting using fractions on a number line. So you're going to be your target date and target is there on the PowerPoint, on the video. If you pause the video now, and can you write today's date and target? Brilliant. Okay, so on the screen here, you have a number line. Now the number line is made up of fractions and there are some missing. Okay, so if you have a look at the top of the number line, okay, you can see that there are fractions that go from 0, 1/5, it's got a missing number, 3/5, and then it's got some missing number, then it's got 7/5, 8/5, and 9/5. Now, we know that 5/5 is equivalent to 1 whole one because the numerator and the denominator are the same. Now, if your numerator is more than your denominator, so if you can see you've got 7/5, that is called an improper fraction. On the bottom of your number line, you have got numbers where you have got whole ones and a fraction. They are called mixed number fractions because they've got a whole number and a fraction. And then below that box, you have got your bars and they are divided into fifths. Okay, so let's have a look at the top part of the number line first. You have got 0. Then you've got 1/5. Yeah? Now then you've got a missing number. If you have a look at the bar along the bottom, how many are coloured in? How many fifths are coloured in? Yeah? You have 2/5. So we have 0, we have 1/5, we have 2/5. Then what we have 3/5, that's already there. What do you think we have next? We have 4/5. We've got 5/5. Yeah. Then we have what comes after 5? 6/5. And as you can see on the bottom bar, you've got 5/5 and then you've got 1 extra. So that's 6/5, 7/5, 8/5, 9/5. And what would the next numerator be? 10/5. Okay, if you go and have a look at the numbers on the bottom, and we're still counting in fifths, you've got 0, you've got 1/5, you've got 2/5, you've got 3/5, 4/5. Now this is where it changes. Have a look at the bars. You've got one that's divided into 5, but it's all shaded because it's 5/5, which is your top number. Or you've got one whole bar that is shaded, but it hasn't got any divisions on. It hasn't got any parts on. So that is 1, because it's one whole one. Then you've got 1 and 1/5, 1 and 2/5. See if you can work out the next two numbers. And let's see if we've got them right. So pause the video now while you work out what those two numbers will be. Okay, let's have a look. Let's see if we were right. So let's have a look at the improper fractions, the fractions on the top. So we've got 0, we've got 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5, 6/5, 7/5, 8/5, 9/5, and 10/5. Can you see your 10/5 is equivalent to 2 whole ones? It is the same as 2 whole ones. Let's go and have a look at the mixed number fractions now. Along the bottom, we have 0, 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, and this is where it starts to change. We have 5/5, or we have 1 whole bar. Think of it as 1 whole bar of chocolate. Now, then we've got 1 and 1/5. 1 and 2/5. Then we have a look at the next one. How many whole bars of chocolate have you got? 1. And how many fifths have you got? 3/5. So it's 1 and 3/5. Have a look at the next one. You've got 1 whole bar of chocolate, so it's 1. And how many fifths are shaded? 4. So it's 1 and 4/5. And then the last one that's been given to us is 2. Okay then. So what we're going to do is we're going to go on to the next slide. So if you can count first of all before we go on, and let's see if we can count in thirds. Okay, starting from 0, and we'll count up all the way to 2. So you've got 0, you've got 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3. Now, if you use your mixed number fractions, it will be 0, 1/3, 2/3, 1, 1 and 1/3, 1 and 2/3, 1, 2. So let's do that again. 0, 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3. Then you do your mixed number fraction. So you've got 0, 1/3, 2/3, 1, 1 and 1/3, 1 and 2/3, 2. Okay. The instruction here is that you will write these fractions in descending order. Now, what does descending mean? Think about when we did the walking up and down the stairs in the classroom. Can you remember what the word descending means? Yeah, it means going down. So we're going to start with the largest fraction, and then we're going to work down to the smallest fraction. Okay, so we're going to start with the biggest fraction. What do you think is the biggest number of them cards? Yeah, it's number 2. So number 2 would go on the shelf first. Okay then. So what would be the next one? Is it going to be 1 and 1/3 or 1 and 2/3? Which is the largest? Yeah, it's 1 and 2/3. So we have 2, 1 and 2/3, then 1 and 1/3, then you have 1, then you have 2/3, and then 1/3. Can you see? So you're starting from the biggest number, working your way down to the smallest one. Let's see if we got them right. Did we have it? 2, 1 and 2/3, 1 and 1/3, 1, 2/3, and 1/3. I think we did get them right, didn't we? You're doing ever so well. Okay then, so what I would like you to do is look at this number line. On the top we have our improper fractions, and at the bottom we have our mixed number fractions. Now we haven't got any of the bars this time. Okay, so let's see if I will start you off, and then you will need to pause it, and then you can add in the missing numbers. Okay, so you've got 0, 1/7. What will come next? Yeah, 2/7. So 0, 1/7, 2 sevenths, 3 sevenths. What will come next? You've got 3 missing fractions there. I wonder if you can fill those in. Pause the video now. Okay, so you've got 0, 1 seventh, 2 sevenths, 3 sevenths, a missing one, a missing one, a missing one. Then you've got 7 sevenths. What is always staying the same? The denominator. So you know the bottom your denominators are sevenths. What about the top numbers, the numerators? What's happened here? See if you can 3, 7 sevenths. Right, then we've got another missing number. So you've got 7 sevenths. How many sevenths here? Then you've got 9 sevenths. And then how many here? How many sevenths there? Pause the video and see if you can write in those missing numbers. Okay, so now let's have a look at the mixed number fractions. 0, even if it's a mixed number fraction, will always be 0. So you've got 0. How many sevenths have you got here? 1 seventh, 2 sevenths. What's that missing number? I'll help you out this one. 3 sevenths, 4 sevenths, 5 sevenths, 6 sevenths. If it's 7 sevenths, what do you notice? It is a whole 1. So it's 1. Then you've got 1 and 1 seventh. What about the next 2 missing numbers? So we've got 0, 1 seventh, 2 sevenths, 3 sevenths, 4 sevenths, 5 sevenths, 6 sevenths, 1. 1 and 1 seventh. What's the next 2 numbers, fractions? See if you can write those down. Pause the video now. Okay, welcome back. Let's see if you got those right. So we have 0, 1 seventh, 2 sevenths, 3 sevenths, 4 sevenths, 5 sevenths, 6 sevenths, 7 sevenths, 8 sevenths, 9 sevenths, 10 sevenths. Then you've got 0. This is your mixed number fractions. 0, 1 seventh, 2 sevenths, 3 sevenths, 4 sevenths, 5 sevenths, 6 sevenths. So we've got 1 whole 1. That is equivalent, that is the same as 7 sevenths. Then you've got 1 and 1 seventh, 1 and 2 sevenths, and 1 and 3 sevenths. How did you do? I'm hoping this is not too bad. Let's have a look at the next slide. Okay then, so you've got to complete the fraction number sequence and explain the pattern. So I'm going to have a look at 2 and 1 ninth and 2 and 3 ninths. So we're going to count up. So you've got 2 and 1 ninth, 2 and 2 ninths, 2 and 3 ninths. So how many ninths do you have to add? The 2's are the same, the whole numbers are the same. How many ninths do you have to add to 1 ninth to get to 3 ninths? Would you have to add to 1 to get to 3? You have to add 2. So if I added 2 ninths to 2 and 3 ninths, I would get 2 and 5 ninths. If I added another 2 ninths onto here, how many whole ones would I have? And how many ninths would I have? So 5 add 2. What would the answer be? Let's have a look. Okay, so I've got 1 and 8 ninths, 2 and 1 ninth, 2 and 3 ninths, 2 and 5 ninths, and the answer is 2 and 7 ninths. I wonder if anyone could be really, really clever and tell me what the next fraction would be in that sequence. Now you need to be careful, because what would 7 add 2 make? Right? What can you tell me about the numerator and the denominator? Right? That's worth some sweets next week if I see that in your book. And you can write it as a top heavy I would like it as a mixed number fraction. Brilliant. Okay, in your pack you have your task and it looks like this. So, you have to complete the number lines, exactly what we've done before, and then you have to write the fractions in the next 3 fractions in each sequence. Read the instruction next to the number. Okay? Have a good go. Okay? Good luck. Okay, so we're now our reading workshop. And yesterday, in that extremely long video, I started to read chapter 1 and I read most of chapter 1 of our new book that we're reading, The Firework Maker's Daughter. Okay? So what you've got to do is have a real good think about it. You may want to go back and read that chapter again. Okay? Because what we have is some questions coming up. So what I would like you to do is I would like you to pause the video and I would like you to write the date and the target. So you wrote your date and your target. I do not want you to write the question down. I would just like you to write the answers in a sentence. Okay, so let's have a look at number 1 and let's see if we can work out the first answer together. So what you need to do, it's telling you what page to go to. Can you turn to page 2? Can you pause the video now while you get your booklet and then go to page 2? Right, it is on the double page of page 2 and page 3, and it shows that the fireworks got harder to make. And I thought it was she was making all the simple fireworks and thinking about more complicated ones. So that is the phrase in the text. I would then write that as a sentence and say the phrase on page 2 and 3 is she was making all the simple fireworks and thinking about more complicated ones. This shows that the fireworks got harder to make. Then you need to go to number 2. I would write that as that. Number 2. What phrase on page 8 shows that the elephant is annoyed with Chulak? So go to page 8 in your text. Okay, I would say it was, why don't you stop people doing it? And then I would write that as, why don't you stop people doing it shows that the elephant is annoyed with Chulak. Okay, so that you have got to complete those 11 questions. So pause the video now until you are finished, and then you have got some geography work to do afterwards. So, off. Thank you. Good luck. Okay, so in geography, your task is today is to complete the double page spread about your chosen country. Now, I'm going to give you today and I'm going to give you tomorrow. So you've got 2 afternoons to get this completed. Okay, so yesterday you did the introduction, didn't you? Yeah, and so you wrote the information about where your country was. Remember, what country did I do? Yeah, it was Mexico. So I am going to show you what I have done. So I have got a subheading. My subheading is clothes in Mexico because that's what I've chosen to write about first. That's what I made the notes on. So then I have decided to write some sentences, and because I needed to use and to include a couple of different things, I used bullet points but full sentences here. Okay? So, clothes in Mexico. Mexican national clothing is very bright and beautiful. Some costumes are used for celebrations, some used for holidays, and others for festivals. The main characteristics of traditional Mexican clothing is sun protection. The clothes are made of natural materials such as cotton to make sure their skin does not burn. They wear hats, and in brackets I put sombrero with large brims to keep out of the sun. Brightness. The fabric is very brightly coloured and embroidered with a lot of colourful ribbons. And they're also modest. The dresses or skirts are very long to ensure they are hidden from the sun. So there you go. There is my first main body of text. So, as I said earlier, you have today and tomorrow afternoon to complete it. You can add drawings, and can you colour them in, please? Or if you wanted to do your um, double page spread as your country flag, you can, once you wrote it, you can even write it in pen if you promise not to make any mistakes. Then you can do the colour the flag in very lightly. My class, we've done this. You did some excellent work. I want to see that again. Now, what I want you to do is when this is finished, I want you to be really impressing me. And I'm going to choose about 4 or 5 to put on the school Facebook that shows how well you are working. And there will be another prize for one child out of my class and one child out of Mr. Smith who has worked really well and has done lots of work on this. Good luck, and that's it for today. So once you finish this work, that's it. Read your book, mind. Bye.